Batman, the Cape Crusader, in the face of DC Comics, and my favorite superhero of all time. Throughout the month of March, I will be reviewing nothing but Batman movies. Oh yes, another one of these months. Welcome to Batman Month. What is said to be the best and highest grossing Batman movie of all time. Tim Burton's Batman '89. Let's get right into it. Alright, so with the story, much like with The Batman, this movie starts out with Bruce Wayne already being Batman. And while there is a very clever fake out in the beginning, thinking this small family is going to be Bruce and his parents. Oh no. Tim Burton was smart. He didn't go through with it. Because they end up getting robbed by these two criminals. And it's a perfect setup for the introduction of Batman. And boy, Michael Keaton kicks ass in this movie. And while they don't really start the movie out with Bruce's backstory, they do have the backstory of the Joker. And the Joker, you sort of see him develop and go further and further into madness. Like, in the beginning, the woman that he's sleeping with that ends up costing him everything in the beginning, he pretty much just tosses her to the side for Vicky Vale. That's both twisted and hilarious at the same time. And all throughout the movie, the Joker's getting back at the people that screwed him over. And boy, you're actually rooting for him. And while Batman is investigating the Joker, Vicky Vale is investigating Bruce to learn more about him, all while having a complicated relationship with Bruce. And you can really see how being Batman affects his personal life. You can feel that they're having a good time at first, but when towards the end, when he goes to her apartment to tell her that he's Batman, you can feel the tension, because you know that she's frustrated with him for lying to her, leaving her in the dark, and everything else. And it says a lot about Keaton's charm that he literally can tell her to shut up, and then 5 seconds later, she's the one comforting him. Would you mind writing a book on how to be charming? Young man, there's only one thing I can say about that. I'm Batman. And towards the end, you find out that the Joker killed Bruce's parents, and he gets his just deserves, and boy, it is satisfying. Because while you're rooting for the Joker to get his revenge on the people that screwed him over, you're also glad to see him go out like a little bitch. The story is just awesome. And while on paper it sounds boring, but when you actually see the movie, it's pretty awesome. Fun fact about this movie. Michael Keaton was the one that came up with the Batman voice.
I'm not going to kill you. I want you to do me a favor. I'm Batman.
Without Michael Keaton, we would not have the character of Batman doing one voice for Bruce Wayne and one voice for Batman. Like, Christian Bale is infamous for that, but Keaton actually started this trend so that nobody could guess who he was. Because, like, with Spider-Man, how does nobody figure out that he's Peter Parker under that mask? Just like... But also, this version of Batman, people don't even believe that he's even real.
There was 6 foot bat in Gotham City. And if so, is he on the police payroll?
And is it true he has a rivalry with a werewolf named Jacob? He steals every photographic evidence of his existence. Why? Because he wants his enemies to fear him. Because of the classic fear of the unknown. This is not something new. Because, like, Batman Begins, his whole philosophy is putting fear into his enemies. In The Batman, when you hear his footsteps, it's to make the enemy anticipate, like, am I about to get my ass kicked? Bet your ass you're gonna get your ass kicked. People did not want Michael Keaton to play Batman. But honestly, you wouldn't believe he was Batman if he told you. It's perfect casting. And speaking of perfect casting, I don't think I've ever seen a Joker have this much fun in the role other than Heath Ledger. And in terms of the character of the Joker, it's Jack Nicholson. Same character as always. Now with Vicky Vale, she's Eminem's mom, sir. Swipe left. Yeah, I only remember her from her role in 8 Mile. And I know that's not fair because she's been in other movies like Cool World, obviously this movie, and so many other movies, but I always think of 8 Mile, and all Vicky Vale does in this movie really is just screaming. And sure, she does her own investigation on Bruce, and that's how you find out the backstory of Batman, but that's just about it. What I didn't like is how they duped Billy D. Williams.
What's your stand?
Mr. Knox, we have enough problems in this city without worrying about ghosts and goblins.
Like, for instance, I have to worry about being replaced by a white man in the future. This movie is awesome. A few fun facts. Michael Keaton, he could not turn his head inside the cowl, so he had to move his entire body to turn around. Because that's just how stiff the cowl was. But it actually works because it helps him move unworldly, which I actually missed on my first watch of this movie. Another fun fact is Prince wrote and performed all the songs on the soundtrack, which makes sense because it was '89 and it actually fits, surprisingly. One last fun fact, the guy that did the score, Danny Elfman, I think this was the first time him and Tim Burton worked together. I could be wrong, but fun fact, Danny Elfman is the singing voice of Jack Skellington in The Nightmare Before Christmas. Which, to be fair, this is the movie Tim Burton was working on while that movie was being made. So he did not direct The Nightmare Before Christmas because he was busy with this movie. And Danny Elfman, believe it or not, he's married to Bridget Fonda, the original voice of Jenna from the first Balto movie. This movie kicks ass. From the set designs, the acting choices, the casting choices, and of course, the classic quirkiness of Tim Burton. This is why this movie has stood the test of time. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I gotta get out of here because I got somewhere to be. So in the meantime, stay positive and stay awesome, everyone. See ya.